folks. How's it going? Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back. How's everyone doing? Hello, hello. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Is up. Alrighty. So what's going on? Round 5, U.S. Championships. Some exciting games, huh? This position with the Wonder versus Levon. Insane. Very, very interesting positions. Uh, Zhang as well. Actually, even this endgame with Caruana against Wesley So, I think, is actually kind of interesting. Just pure rooks and bishop versus rooks and knight. Very similar to the famous Fischer endgame. Fischer Taimanov. With the exception that in that game, White had 3 pawns as well. Or both sides had 3 pawns on the queen side. Yeah, I wonder really brought the disrespect today. That's funny. So yeah, let's dive into some of these games. Let me know, where should we start? I know you guys were looking at the Wonder game. We could definitely continue looking at that one. Yeah, we're a little bit away from the time trouble phase, but that's gonna happen at some point. But probably not anytime soon for some of these games. But I'm guessing the Wonder game is gonna have a vicious time trouble because they're still pretty early. Yeah, Levon down to like 32 minutes already. Wow, that's crazy. Because I know he was. I was watching a little bit of David. I know it seemed like Levon was well prepared for this, but maybe not. Maybe not. And he just played c6, so maybe we can. Yeah, let's dive into this one because the other games. I mean, I think we're very far from a decisive result. Pretty much everywhere. Let's see. Nothing. Yeah, like nothing too incredible is happening. I feel like Zhang has a promising position. Kind of like what he's doing with his knights. And I think Caruana actually definitely has chances of winning this position against Wesley So. Like, I don't know how big his advantage is here, but I think in practice, like, you do win some of the time here as White, I would think. But yeah, let's go to the Levon game. And so last couple moves here. Let's see. So takes, castles, rook e8, cd4, queen d4, queen g5, knight b4, bishop d2, queen d6, white play knight c3, and now c6 on the board. So what is happening here? So black is still a pawn up, but the king is obviously very weak. And yeah, with opposite color bishops, it's like, ooh, feels like black is very close to a disaster here. I mean, if white can just get like the bishop to c3, queen h6, I mean, it's just like, it's gonna be game over. So candidate moves. Yeah, lots of possible moves here. Rook a d1 to me makes a lot of sense. Rook a e1 as well. It looks extremely natural. I mean, I think you kind of start with the rook moves because, I mean, rooks aren't really developed. F3 also is quite logical. One thing, of course, we want to make sure is we don't want to allow a queen trade here as white. Is this a classic scenario where the opposite color bishops favor the attacker? Yeah, 100%, 100%. And that's why I feel like the extra pawn here for black, it's like, I don't know, not very, doesn't feel very meaningful, right? Because it really feels like a battle of time, like whether white's going to have enough time to get the bishop to this long diagonal. Honestly, it feels very promising for white. Like I would be really optimistic here if I was a wonder. Like rook a1, for example, and then bishop e3, bishop d4 would be a threat. And if you just get this bishop to this diagonal, you play like f3 somewhere, open up this rook, like get both rooks on the f file. Like it looks very, very scary. So yeah. Yeah, this seems like a big opportunity for a wonder because he's I don't know if you guys know, but he's an absolute killer. Like he's been playing some open events and he's just like taking people down. So I think he's very motivated and he's got the time advantage. It's move 15. It's move 15. There's 25 moves left to make before the time control. Levon only has 30 minutes to make 25 moves. That's not a lot. That's not a good sign for Levon. I mean, it clearly feels like I don't know exactly where he spent his time, but clearly, yeah, it's not super comfortable with the position. Yeah, f3 is a very very ambitious move for sure, but it makes a lot of sense. I mean, we're trying to open up the rook, and also, if black doesn't do anything, we get the e4 square for the knight, which is a very strong square. So f3 to me definitely feels like a serious candidate move. Question is whether to start with like rook d1 or rook e1, because this also feels very tempting just to get the rook involved. And someone made the point in chat like black's rook is still on a8, and that's a problem. I mean, I think you guys would agree that having more pieces on the board is better. And if this rook is only attacking the b8 and c8 squares in this one, it's like that's not a whole lot. So if white can get their rooks opened up, then that's like having an extra rook in the position. So yeah, maybe f3, e3. But here I'm thinking, okay, white takes, and now we've got rook ad1 coming, and knight e4. And of course, bishop c5 might be a threat. Does not look good for black, right? Like knight c2, we always have rook d1. Looks very, very scary. I would think, I don't know, maybe something like queen f6, maybe queen e5 to try to trade queens. Okay, so this is maybe not so easy for white, right? Because if black gets the queens off, then black, I think, is a lot closer to holding this position. Yeah, so maybe e3, knight e4. That looks really nice. That looks really nice. Yeah, no, I agree. This position after queen e5, this starts to feel like black actually might be on the verge of being okay. I'm not sure. I think even in the endgame, this would be unpleasant. Or like let's say knight e4. I think even this is not super fun for black with heavy pieces on the board, but getting the queens off is a huge achievement. So yeah, I like this f3, knight e4. Very nice. And there's no queen d2 because the knight defends the bishop. And knight on b4 is hanging. So if queen goes anywhere, then white can just trade or just take. Or if here, then we're just trading. So I mean, might just be directly winning for white. I think black has to maybe try this, or maybe no, but queen f8. I mean, it's just looking really bad, right? It just looks like, I think this is just game over actually. E3 94. I think it's just I think he's just losing on the spot. Like queen d4. I mean, minimum we can take, but bishop c3 also looks just like pure pain. It's just starting to look like a puzzle rush. Yeah. Right, and if queen d4 check here, then bishop e3. Right, just responding with the tempo, I think, is just automatic. And then we can get knight takes e4 or fe4 with check next move. Was knight b4 losing? Well, hold on. Aronian hasn't lost yet. Guys, I don't know if some of you are watching with the engine on, but Aronian hasn't lost anything. Yeah, they're just on move 16 of this game. Anything can still happen, you know. Like, so we can't really say that Aronian has lost the game. It definitely feels like black is in huge trouble. Keep in mind, the players also do not have access to eval bars. Like, they're just sitting at the board. They're like look at our board. There's no eval bar. And so there's no indication like what the best move is or anything. That's what it's like for the players. It's like they don't see any of that stuff. And they're just looking at the position. So they're not sitting there like, oh, I know this position is +2 or +5 or whatever. And no, they might have an inkling, of course. They understand when they're winning from a human point of view. But I think that's kind of the more interesting part. So that's obviously what we're trying to convey here. It's like from a human point of view, it's just like, okay, it looks really dangerous for black, but it's not like over. I mean, no, black is gonna defend here. Oh, I see. My bad. Oh, okay. Yeah, well, that's good then. That's good. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's more fun actually to kind of watch without, because I mean, just more instructive. Okay, so why rook ad1? This is actually one of the first moves I was considering here for white. I think we came up with maybe 3 real serious moves, like rook ad1, rook ae1, and f3. And then we're analyzing f3 because it looked kind of interesting. Rook ad1 just gets the rook in the game and then sets up possible discoveries against the queen. So now white can, for example, try to play bishop e3, bishop d4 next move, then get the bishop on the diagonal, and then this queen can try to infiltrate. And so it's very, very dangerous here for black. Yeah, so I'm guessing black needs to just get the queen off of the file. I mean, you don't really want to keep it there forever. You could, I mean, I would definitely maybe consider a move like bishop f5 also, because this is kind of natural, right? So yeah, bishop f5 I think is a serious consideration, because it's not like white has an immediate like bishop takes something or bishop check to win the queen. Like here white is essentially just going to be winning a tempo somehow, but I don't think black is like losing anything just yet, right? So maybe bishop e3, black tries, oof. So yeah, there's danger here. Like queen e7, for example, white just takes and then pre-moves bishop c5, right? And that's game over. And even if black plays here, then bishop c5 is still good enough. So you're not losing too much with the pre-move. And this looks like white's winning material. So queen e5, then you get hit with another tempo like bishop d4. And then just for example, queen e6, queen h6, it starts to look really, really bad for black. Yeah. So maybe queen f6 would be kind of the next choice. But yeah, I feel like white should be able to find a nice square here for the queen. I guess if queen h6, queen g7, the queen can just kind of keep chasing. Let's say queen h4, just for example. If black keeps trying, then okay, bishop g5, it's like at a certain point it's going to get shut down. But yeah, I don't know. If black doesn't play this move, then bishop d4 is coming next, and that's kind of, yeah, that's going to be difficult to meet. Yeah. So rook ad1, I don't know if it was, yeah, the best move necessarily, but it certainly feels very annoying for black to deal with. But bishop f5 kind of feels playable. And actually, I'm wondering on bishop f5, maybe white starts with this one before black can play queen g7, and then this would kind of force black maybe to go king g8, I'm not sure. And then white can maybe try to get this in with tempo, like bishop e3, bishop d4. Now there's knight d3, I think some of you guys were mentioning this one. So yeah, knight d3 is definitely an option here in this line for black. It might be forced, because otherwise bishop d4 would just be really, really dangerous, I think. But yeah, knight d3, then white, I think for sure is playing f3, for sure. Just to undermine the knights, open up the rook, and essentially just create some very, very dangerous threats, yeah? Like, for example, let's think about this. I think maybe white can take. Bishop takes. Let's say knight takes. Rook takes. And yeah, something like this would feel extremely dangerous for black. I don't know if there are like any immediate like winning tactics, but even just simple move bishop g5, bishop f6 just looks so dangerous on the dark squares. Rook f7, maybe. Not sure. Although this one actually, I feel like this might have been a losing move because of this check. Man, tactics, they kind of ruin everything. You know? Tactics are the worst thing about, I don't know if you guys know this, but tactics are the worst thing about chess. You can be playing just like perfect positional chess, totally outplaying your opponent, and then there's like some tactics and you lose. So maybe not that. Maybe going king h1 somewhere, like keeping the bishop on this diagonal. But yeah. Still, feeling very dangerous for black. I do wonder why he didn't go f3. I mean, to me, f3 looked kind of tempting, but this move is super annoying too, because as black, like, you never know when this is going to hit you. And white also has other ideas, just like moving the knight to e2 and then putting the bishop on c3, and then the rook gets opened up and the bishop gets the perfect diagonal. And yeah, I think, you know, especially if white's knight gets involved into the attack here, it could get really, really difficult for black. But look, Levon's spending a lot of time. He's down to 23 minutes. So entering this move, he had like 30 minutes left. Now he's down to 23. So he's just like continuing to burn time, which is a really, really bad sign. Because he's going to be down to like 10 minutes at this rate by move 20. And yeah, that's heavy. Like when I'm playing classical chess, by move 20, if my opponent has even like 30 minutes left, then I consider them to be in time trouble. Because like that 30 minutes is going to run down quickly, and then they're going to be down to minutes and seconds. But so here, like at move 20, he's going to be at best having like 20 minutes on his clock, maybe more like 10 or 15, and it's still going to be a very sharp position to play. So mistakes will be made. Aronian's knight b4 move. Let's go back. Yeah, I don't know. I wasn't super watching here. So queen g5, knight b4 played. Huh. And then white went bishop d2. Yeah, I mean, well, knight b4, okay, of course it creates a threat of knight c2, but I mean, the knight also seems like it wants to reach d3, which looks like a very strong square. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know exactly the full details behind this move, like if this is still his preparation or what, but I mean, it seems like there is some points to it. But yeah, like a more, let's say, basic move or kind of more typical, I think, would be to just like develop the bishop, connect the rooks. So yeah, I'm sure there was some specific and concrete reason for this one as well. Yeah, it's a tough thing. I don't know. It's like a lot of times strong players, they make moves that kind of break a lot of principles. It's like it's hard to criticize them because it's like, you know, they know what they're doing. Like obviously Aronia knows that it's like, you know, you should just develop pieces normally, right? But they also know that there are many cases where it's justified to break the principles. And those cases are rare, but they're worth looking for. And yeah, sometimes these guys, they just kind of, they might choose wrong, you know? It happens. It happens to everyone. And yeah, and then they end up looking a little, silly because it's like, well, why would you, why would you do all this, right? But yeah, that's kind of, it's one of the, I don't know if it's like a drawback of like the computer age, but I feel like for me at least, that's definitely one effect that I've seen in my games where I'm much more likely to consider a move that looks weird if, for example, like I've seen a similar situation where that move was working, or if like I feel like I've seen a similar idea before. And that's been like one of the cool things about the engine is that it's shown like all these, you know, it just comes up with all these like insane tactics in positions that you would think are like lost or just like completely drawn or whatever. It just the engine just finds all these like insane ideas, and so players have learned, number one, that there's all kinds of defensive possibilities out there that humans were missing. Just like tactical defenses that are really interesting. There's some famous cases where, you know, someone resigned in a position because they thought they're getting mated, but they actually like had a defense, like they actually had a way out, and they just like couldn't figure, they didn't notice it. You know, it was just tactically too complicated. So yeah, the engine has been incredibly useful, but right, also it has pushed us to definitely be a little bit more like extravagant in our play and try different ideas. And yeah, sometimes it ends up not working out. A classic example of like, don't try this at home. It's like all engine games should come with that disclaimer, like don't try this at home. Okay, so yeah, black to play here. White definitely could consider this move on the next turn. I think something like bishop e3 also makes a lot of sense, or queen h6. So lots of good moves here for white, f3 as well as a follow-up. But yeah, 18 minutes for Levon here. We can jump to other games and then come back to this one. People were saying Han's losing. But let's see here. It looks like they've just got a Berlin endgame, and yeah, I don't quite see why this would be losing for black. Yeah, so some misinformation being spread, but that's okay. Yeah, Dominguez way down on the clock. This is what Dominguez does, though. It's kind of it's similar to Gristrick, where it's like he's a really well prepared player, and he knows his stuff really well. he used to work as a second for Caruana, right? And so, yeah, like his openings are extremely deep. But as soon as he like leaves his prep, he just starts spending like massive amounts of time, like 30, 40 minutes, and he just gets into insane time trouble very quickly. Even if the position doesn't appear, like super complicated. He just gets like so invested in the details. I mean, I'm just guessing, but like he just gets like so invested that he's just like he wants to play like perfect chess essentially, right? So that, and then sometimes he wins like some brilliant games, like his game against MVL that won the Brilliancy Prize in last year's Sinkfield Cup. Like that was an incredible game, and that was a like very typical Dominguez game. Like he had really deep prep until like move 22 or in some Nightorf, and then once he's out of book, he just starts spending massive amounts of time, but he like finds like all the precise moves and just essentially just wins with like a kingside attack. But yeah, it also means he often gets into just heavy time trouble. And so let's just see what happened here. So f5, g5, rook h5, and knight e2. So black is actually winning a pawn. So black has won a pawn. So black's a pawn up. But it's a doubled pawn, so it's not the most useful one. That said, does white have knight g3 here? Ooh, is that an issue? Knight g3 could be a problem. So black has won a pawn, maybe just temporarily. But now knight g3... is going to win some material, right? Looks like knight g3, and what can black do? Black is going to have to give up either the exchange or a full piece. So he might only have 10 minutes, but he has knight g3. And I don't know about you guys, but I'd rather have 10 minutes and knight g3 and an hour and no knight g3. f5 is protected. Yes, I agree. Yeah, it looks like white's winning an exchange because we're hitting the rook. And if the rook moves away, then the bishop is lost. So I think best black can do is bishop takes f4, knight takes rook, bishop takes e5. And here it's 2 pawns for the exchange, so I don't know how big his advantage is, but he just played a different move. He just went rook h1. Oh, Dominguez. Genius. Rook h1, because on rook takes h1, he has bishop takes g5 in between move. And then he's going to pick up the rook next, and he's going to have an extra piece. So king e6. And, I mean, you can throw in another one, but I don't know why you would. Let's just say here. And piece up. So rook h1. And now Hans played bishop takes f4. So he's just giving the exchange because there's nothing else. If g6, then white trades rooks and then takes on g5. Pruess is the US Sasha. Yeah, very, very good. So yeah, rook takes h1. The idea is that white is taking here with check. And then taking the rook next move. So that was his devilish trick. But yeah, I'm surprised. I wonder if Hans had to take here. It doesn't seem like he necessarily had to go after this pawn. I'm not sure. Well, I guess after f5, g5, now his bishop is kind of stuck. So here he's kind of committed. But I don't know. Yeah, somewhere he likely blundered. Because now we got this on the board. Takes, rook takes h5, bishop takes e5, b3, and c5. Yeah. That said, though, after all that, black still has uh, 2 pawns for the exchange and 2 bishops. And actually, there are some players out there that say, like, 2 bishops and a pawn is worth about rook and knight. So there are some people that would say black is slightly ahead in material here. If you think about it, it kind of makes sense because, okay, bishop versus knight are about equal. Maybe bishop is slightly more. Bishop versus rook, obviously the rook is stronger than the bishop. But if you have 2 bishops, you get kind of you get a boost from that. Like when you're a video game character and you have like armor from the same set, like both pieces get a boost. That's how the 2 bishops work as well. So both bishops get a boost from being part of a bishop pair, and you have that pawn. So 2 bishops and a pawn is similar, is like close to like rook and knight. So this is 2 bishops and 2 pawns. So honestly, I'm not sure how much white has here. Long story short, like I feel like black is kind of okay. Yeah, like he's probably gonna play g6 or maybe just put the king on f6, defend this one, b6, a5, right? Just keeping the c7 pawn under control. It looks really hard to win this for white. Any chance of still being prepared? For which side? For either side? I guess some chance. I would think it's unlikely. But I don't really know. I mean, I don't know the theory here, so I couldn't really say. So question, is this anything other than a draw? Well, no, I mean it's a very playable endgame. I mean, you would have to be a really strong player to hold this as black. Like I don't think I would hold this as black. I mean maybe, I don't know. Maybe it's gonna, to me it feels like black is okay. But it's by no means an easy position to defend. Okay. So I think Dominguez is gonna try to grind this out. We'll see. Let's check in. So Aronian played bishop f5. Now a wonder is thinking in this position. So we'll jump away from this game because we've basically been looking at it already for some time. I think he's choosing here between bishop e3, this one, maybe knight e2, maybe bring the knight around. F3 I think is still a very reasonable candidate move here. Rook takes f3, and then getting ready to just light black up here. Let's see what else we got. If there are other games you guys want to look at, just let me know. I like Robson's position here against Darrow. I think Robson actually has very nice winning chances here. He's playing against the IQP. His bishop on g2 is perfect. He's got the bishop pair. He can just like go like put his rooks on d1. And yeah, if black is ever trading like all these pieces. Okay, right now actually I should note black has a nice tactical trick here. So let's say rook ad1 is played. Black can go knight takes d4, hitting the queen. Queen takes d7. Knight e2. So this is something called in-between check, or in-between move. White's forced to move the king, black recaptures the queen, and then has an extra piece. Okay, it's a question if the knight can get out, but yeah, obviously white is not going to want to have to figure this out. Oh, I wonder played g4. Wow, g4. Now that's a move. I wasn't considering. I feel like I would consider this during a game, and then maybe reject it, just on general grounds. But no, I mean this g4 could be really strong because I mean it's knocking the bishop off of f5. So okay, I mean it's weakening our king, but the bishop has to move somewhere. If bishop goes to e6, the knight takes e4, hits the queen. The knight is hit. There's queen f6 check. I think this is just unanalyzable. You don't even analyze this because it's just so terrible. We can look at it a little bit, but it's just just absolutely brutal here. Yeah. Okay, but immediately winning because we take on b4, and that's at least a piece. Okay, so bishop e6 kind of out of the question. Bishop can drop back to d7. Then I would think this is where, oh, but now the bishop is hanging. So f3 I think is reasonable, but also just like bishop moving somewhere. Like this is going to be a real problem for black. Again, you can't do queen e7 because takes, and then bishop c5 wins the exchange. So knight d3, and then maybe f3 now. Or even I'm wondering if we can do... No, see, this one would not work, I think. Maybe. This is worth considering at least. Like takes, rook takes here. I was a little bit scared of this, but black's queen is also hanging. The idea to take here. But yeah, queen takes d1. Yeah, I think it doesn't quite work concretely. And then rook g4. And then after all that, we get opposite color bishop endgame with black an extra pawn. And if you go from that position to this position as white, I think you just start crying at the board. I think you're just like, no. Like now I'm down a pawn. Like, no. Yeah. Oh, knight b5 instead. Yeah, this is actually maybe a stronger alternative. Absolutely. Hitting the queen, and then if takes, rook takes d7 at the end. And it might just be game over. Like king g8, queen f6, for example, looks like it's basically mating. No, it's not over. Yeah, there's queen f8 still. So, but still feels very, very dangerous for black. Like king is super open. Maybe this one, king h8, and then queen f7, like this. Maybe this is lights out. Or queen h6 immediately. Yeah. So, okay, for black then rook e7. Actually, I agree. This would feel kind of forced. And we can try queen d5 check. I mean, the attack certainly continues. Maybe game is not over just quite yet, especially because white played g4. It still feels like, black can maybe have some counter chances. But yeah, definitely that's, I mean, I think this is what both players are calculating here, because bishop d7, I mean, knight b5, this is very forcing. And it looks super dangerous. Maybe it's not like 100% winning just yet, but it at least looks insanely dangerous. So it's hard for black to go in for this. Queen takes b4, not forced, true. But we're under very heavy pressure, and if we don't trade off the opposite color bishops, it's going to be a problem, right? Like rook d6, queen h6, bishop c3. So it feels very, very tough. Yeah, fair. Queen e6. Yeah. This hits this one. Yeah. So still kind of messy. Maybe h3. Trying to just continue. Okay, how about h6? Actually, looks like that was played. h6. Oh, takes rook h8. Levon, so tricky. So tricky. And then queen takes h2. Queen h4 played. So I wonder had seen this coming. And just simple sidestep keeps the attack on the bishop. And now bishop c8 played quickly by Levon. So he doesn't put the bishop on d7. I don't know if it's because of knight b5, but now there's bishop takes h6. So yeah, it feels very, very risky to leave this one hanging. So he just goes all the way back to bishop c8. But, right, not a good sign. Not a good sign. Not a good sign. This one is, yeah. Well, he's not necessarily admitting that it's bad. I mean, white did have to play g4 to push black's bishop back. And this g4, it really does hurt white. Like we already saw lines, right, where there's queen e6 and taking this one and killing white's attack, potentially. Yeah, so it is a pretty serious concession that white had to make here. But this position is all about time and development. And now, I mean, white has bishop e3 if he wants. There's always going to be knight d3. So bishop e3, knight d3, and then maybe f3. I mean, feels very, very critical. Well, isn't disconnecting the rooks a huge setback? No, absolutely. I mean, I think white's doing very well here. Lots of options. Bishop takes h6. Looks reasonable. Just getting the pawn. And then somewhere f3. I like putting the bishop on e3 because then you don't allow black to keep the f file closed, right? You just kind of plug. So let's say this, for example, and then here. I mean, this I think would be what I do in Blitz. for whatever that's worth. Because then black can't stop us from opening the f file, right? It's one way or the other, it's happening. And black can't keep the knight on d3 secure. So we're also undermining the knight. f3 first also possible. Actually, that's interesting too. Because on e3, of course, we have takes. So maybe f3 first is even stronger. Absolutely. And then actually the idea is not just to take on e4 with the pawn. Taking with the knight is also a very serious threat here. Because it's so annoying for black. Like the queen has to keep the knight. It's so loose. Like, yeah, I mean, just the position immediately collapses if f3 knight e4 is allowed to be played. So f3 definitely a very serious move here. Absolutely. And okay, black takes, rook takes. I mean, rook gets in, and it's just, again, I refer you guys to Puzzle Rush, page 6, attacking. Attacking with all the pieces. Okay, let's see. Other games. So this is Caruana So right now. They're on move 32. And to me, it looks like Caruana has some very serious practical chances. I don't know if he's going to win. He's not immediately winning, right? Because rook c7, there's rook e7, and black is holding. But this is very similar to the Botvinnik Alekhine endgame that we did on a recent Endgame Sensei with David and Jesse. We were playing out a position similar as rook and knight against rook and knight. So here white has the bishop, which I think is even an improvement. But basically white had the c-file, couldn't really do anything with it right away because again black is just defending. But it was an advantage to just have it, right? So I could see white just playing a move like rook c2 here. Or king f1 also. Although his last move was king g2, so I don't think he's gonna go king g2, king f1. But g5 definitely a big move from Wesley because he's saying he wants to maybe advance the pawn to g4, h5, and then maybe even one day bring the knight to g5 and f3. But this definitely feels like, yeah, white has some winning chances. How do you use the bishop to help the pawns push on the left? Well, the cool thing about the bishop is that it can control both sides of the board. So earlier, Fabi played this move bishop a6, I think, to prevent black from being able to double the rooks on the c-file. So okay, black played rook c1, and they traded rooks. And here he was actually able to win the c-file because of the threat of this one, right? The rook had to stay on the back rank. He goes rook c1. This is kind of a nice advantage because then his rook is always able to infiltrate, whereas black's rook is not able to. So the bishop can actually just contribute quite a lot from f1, from g2, mainly by just taking away lots and lots of squares from the enemy pieces. The bishop can also focus on like targets. So a very simple plan here for white is to go like rook c7, bishop c4, and try to take f7. But of course, Wesley anticipated this one, so he goes king f8, and he's ready to go rook e7. But yeah, essentially the pawns, I mean, they advance on their own. If white can manage to win one pawn and then start pushing b4, a5, eventually the bishop can get out of the way, can push a6, can also, white can try to put the bishop on the long diagonal, where I think it would be very strong, and then eventually try to help the pawn reach the promotion square. Yeah, Wonder doing great. Absolutely. Yeah. Okay, more games. Let's see. Our boy Shankland. He's got equal position against Elshon. Elshon's actually a friend of mine, so I don't have a favorite in this game. In fact, I don't even know what to root for because a draw would be, I think, disappointing for Sam since he's playing white. So I don't know. I'm staying out of it. I hope they both get what they want from this game, whatever that may be. But yeah, very interesting position. And I'm really unclear on what the evaluation here is because it's like, you know, black has a very nice bishop on g7, but white's bishop on b4 is no joke either. Very nice bishop because it defends like white's main weakness on c3 and puts pressure on black's main weakness d6. Whereas black's bishop on g7 is just putting pressure on the weakness. It's not defending this one, but it is defending the king. Yeah, it's hard to say. I think if I had to choose, maybe I would pick white just because I feel like white's king maybe a little bit safer. But because white has this idea of maybe going like g4, f5 and using the extra pawn on the king side. But I don't know. I mean, you know, goes without saying, I would lose with both colors. Okay, let's see. Christopher Yu against Sam Sevian. Wow, this is a big matchup. And Christopher, I mean, he's just set up. Like, he's looking for his puzzle rush. He's like, okay, all my pieces are in position. Where's the win? Like, what? Where? Man, he looks like, oh man, look at this. And Sevian down to 16 minutes to make 11 more moves here. So that's not a lot of time. I mean, I don't know if white is winning here, but again, we see opposite color bishops, which do favor the attacker. So very, very dangerous position here for black, I would say. I mean, Christopher has ideas just going like h4, h5, h6. If he wants to be really simple, then bishop g5. But yeah, right away, queen h5 feels like a pretty annoying move. Maybe bishop e8 would be the answer. So last move was bishop d2. Yeah, in Puzzle Rush, you just go knight g6, and it's like wrong, and you're thinking about like, what? Why was that wrong? And then it's like, oh right, he can just take, and then there was nothing. So, yeah, it's like, oh yeah, maybe I should have thought of that one more, but yeah. Well, here, okay, now this is of course very direct threat. I should mention bishop g5. H6 is obviously unplayable. Knight g6 check then would definitely be good, but what to do? Where to put the rook? Dominguez draw. Oh, so they already agreed to a draw. Okay, so my evaluation of this endgame then was maybe not too far off in that even though white's up the exchange, black can literally just keep everything defended with the two bishops and not a lot of ways to make progress. So yeah, Hans finishes with nearly an hour on his clock. It does kind of indicate he, was very well prepared in this one. So okay, good job, Hans. Let's see. Oh, I wonder. Okay, we have some developments here. So bishop takes h6 plate. Knight d3 from Levon. And now, now I'm not sure, because f3 then e3. Knight e4 maybe. f3 e3 knight e4 looks very interesting. Yeah. This looks very, very tempting. f3 e3 and then knight e4. That's right, Tanish. A lot of fans want to see a wonder show the power of the attack with opposite color bishops. A lot of fans. A very, very instructive chess. Okay, this looks super scary because it's hitting the queen, it's hitting knight g5 check, and now there's a lot of puzzle rush going on in this position. Maybe queen d8, but then bishop g5, knight g5. This looks super scary. King g8, this could just be mating. This could just be mating. Let's see, takes, queen h7. We go here, there's queen f7. We go king f6. Find a mate. Okay, maybe this one. This one. This one. Very close. Feels like we're very close. Feels like we're very, very close. Of course, there's also options of like h4 in this position or knight e4. Yeah. Oh, rook takes knight. Rook takes d3. Seems nice. h4 check. Oh, h4. Here maybe. Okay, then takes. Not sure I quite see the follow-up there. Anyways, it's very dangerous. It's very, very dangerous. So f3, e3, knight e4. Looks devastating. Looks devastating. Okay, in the meantime, Fabi Wesley traded rooks. Okay, Fabi knows what he's doing, but he does give up his rook, which was considerably more active. Takes king f3. And I guess he thinks he has more chances here. That's kind of surprising, to be honest. I would think you would have more chances with the rook, but okay. King f3. It's still unpleasant for black because you got to defend this one, right? So if you just start going, oh, king d6, no problem, then bishop c4, it's like, where are you going? Where are you going? Knight d5, then king comes this way. Like, you can lose this in like 2 moves as black. So like takes, king d5, king g4, just immediately winning a pawn, right? So there's still some danger here. There's still some danger for sure. Because white just wants to bring the king in. Imagine white gets bishop c4, he puts the king on e5, f5. Yeah, no, actually black could definitely still lose this, but I don't know, I have a feeling Wesley should find some way to hold. Maybe knight e8, knight d6. Bringing the knight to this square seems kind of... This seems like a nice setup, right? Let's say here. Of course, there's this one we have to watch out for. Maybe f6. And knight comes to d6. King h5. I mean, it's scary. It's scary. It's scary, actually. Yeah, maybe king d6, bishop c4, knight d7. So if takes, we have this one, absolutely. Maybe white tries this. And just, yeah, actually, it just looks hard to defend the king side. I don't know exactly how black is going to do it. Let's see, do we have a move? King f3. No, Wesley's still thinking here. Okay, Wonder's still thinking. Oh, look at this move, guys. From Christopher Yu. Oh, rook g6. Wow, what a move. What a move. I don't know if it wins, but it certainly wins in some respects. Dang. Oh, look, I mean, actually, there's some sick points here. Look, queen e7, there's rook takes d6. How do you guys like that one? Takes knight g6. Queen takes knight f7. So rook g6 is a big potential GG move. Big potential for a GG here. But I feel like Sevian probably has something in mind. I don't think he really... This is something that he misses. He's got queen f5. Queen takes b3. Not sure, not sure. What's going on queen takes b3? Okay, what if he just snags the pawn? Oh, take and take. Thank you, Guccio. Thank you. Take and take. Do you guys know that tactic? The old take and take. First you take, and then you take, and then if they take twice, then you take a third time. So it's really a take, take, take. Take, take, oh, and then take. I mean, in this case, there's a fourth take. There's multiple takes. But, yeah, at this point, it's kind of an optional take. All takes win. All takes win. Rook g6. Maybe queen f5. Because then white doesn't have the... Here it's a take-take, but it's black who's winning. So that's not going to happen. I mean, there's rook g5 at least, but not sure what's happening next. Oh, not rook g4. g5, queen e6. Yeah, for queen h7 to work, you would need this knight on e7. And this piece to just not be there. And then it would be set. Yeah, so it's not super clear how white wins after queen f5, at least not immediately obvious. But he goes queen g8, another Canada move. I mean, it looks a little funky because black is like begging to get smother mated. But I think on rook takes d6, the point is he has rook takes e5. And then, yeah, kind of unclear. So yeah, I thought queen f5 is definitely logical. Bishop g5 definitely feels like an option as well, but yeah, I mean, it looks weird with the rook on g6. That's all. And then I mean, there's like rook takes e5 maybe. Maybe it doesn't work tactically because of this one, and then queen takes g6 could be a problem. So I don't know. My guess is rook g5 would have been the move, and then here and then something. I'm not sure what exactly from here, but yeah. Anyway, queen g8 on the board. Yeah, knight g6. I just didn't see the follow up there. So now lots to think about for white. Let's see, I wonder. He played bishop g5. Okay, let's go to a wonder. So he didn't go f3. I'm not sure why. This looked really strong. f3 and then knight e4. Bishop g5 instead, and then queen e5. So this is now on the board. Yeah, Seth, I showed it just briefly. Let's go back to that game. Black's idea there is to counter with rook takes e5. I assume. I don't really see anything else because this one. So it takes, and then both rooks are hanging. Exciting games. By the way, this is Jean Lennerman. Look at this. I mean, I've heard of rooks on the 6th, but this is ridiculous. Yeah, definitely some potential here for Zhang to win. Because this pawn is weak. He has 2 pawns on the queen side that can push and promote. And these pieces are just kind of hanging out on the king side. They're just kind of like chilling. But like while they're chilling, there's going to be like 2 new queens on the queen side. So this is a big danger for black. Queen h4 is an interesting move. I think he was annoyed by being pinned to the rook, so he just wanted to move the queen off of that square. And now he's thinking about pulling a Wesley. Hold on. Hold on. He definitely saw that Wesley game, because that was yesterday, and he was there. He's thinking about pulling a Wesley. He wants to take and go knight g4, knight d5. Ooh, this is and I'm pretty sure Lenderman saw that game as well because he's also there. Hey, thanks, Pumpkin the Cat. See ya, see ya. So yeah, and now Wesley's looking at the game and he's like, I know what you guys are thinking. He's like, this is my idea. You can't use this. It's like, no, that's not how it works, Wesley. You can't copyright chess moves. Jeffrey's allowed to go rook takes f6 here. I mean, this looks really, really painful for black. Then like knight g4. He actually takes a knight g4 I like, because then you have like queen h6 and knight takes f6 and oof. Oof, yeah. So very, very dangerous here for Lenderman. Okay, let's see. Who are we watching? Yeah, maybe knight d7 here is needed, actually, to avoid rook takes f6. Because otherwise, this exchange stack is... But knight d7, you know, white trades, knight d5. Actually, it's not... Maybe not so easy, right? So... Yeah. Very nice move, queen h4. Yeah, actually, I don't see... Don't see a move here for black. Yeah, king f8, I think... Not quite helping, because... Still, this is super... Super scary. Oh, there was a Hans interview. Oh, I haven't seen it. Oh, anything? Was there anything? Spill the beans. It sounds like nothing. Sounds like you just shut it all down, huh? No questions. Okay. So bishop g5, queen e5. I wonder actually, he's still thinking here, and he's down to 21 minutes. Oh, here we go. f3 on the board. And now actually, I mean, queen's on e5 now. So f3, now black just has 0 options to go e3. He's just going to have to allow white to take on e4. So f3 here still looks very, very strong. There is rook h8, but I think it's just collapsing for black. I mean, it's just 2 open rooks. And I mean, black's bishop, rook on a8. It just looks busted. It's totally busted. So Go Wonder. I mean, I love Levon. I think he's an amazing player, but I mean, Wonder really deserves this win. So Go Wonder. Hans was extremely detailed today. Oh, that's good. That's good. So now people are gonna say like, oh, now he's trying to be detailed. Yeah, looking great. Yeah. Well, I've made up my mind about this position, and black is busted. This looks scary. Because this is just such a huge threat. F takes e4 check, and then the knight is just hanging. So, like, I don't know, rook h8 maybe. Let's say take. King has to go somewhere. Or no, king g8. And I mean, even this, I think. Take. Take. Check. Here. Take. Maybe this is too much, but even this looks just like really scary for black. It's, yeah, I don't know. Maybe there's other options as well, like bishop h6, for example. Might be a simpler choice. And then this is hanging, and this looks like a big threat. So yeah, looking real dangerous. Also on rook h8, I think simple move like queen g3 actually looks fine too. Like if queen takes g5, then we take here with check. Black has to move the king somewhere. Rook takes d3. Maybe, I don't know, maybe black is kind of surviving here. No, actually, no, here there's rook d8 and... Well, I don't know, even this actually is not super clear to me, but... Definitely feels like white should be winning. Is Fabi still playing? Yeah, I think they're still in this endgame. Oh, and actually, look, Wesley decided to just give the pawn. Because I think it was just way too dangerous to allow white's king to get in. I mean, I am surprised he didn't just go back. But then the issue is, like, white's king starts creeping in. It's very unpleasant for black. Like h3, for example, and then the king just starts marching in. So a5 takes. He just gives the pawn, and now king e5. So Fabi's up a pawn now. Looks like fantastic winning chances. I mean, extra pawn is pretty serious. And they're about to make move 40, so he's still going to get another 30 minutes here. So he's not going to be in time trouble for some time. Okay, Christopher Yu, what happened? Queen g8? Yeah, looks like he ended up going for this line. I guess he didn't see anything better. Yeah, I mean, I didn't really see a clear win for him either, so... Yeah, I don't know. So he takes, and then we get a bunch of trades. And, I mean, this position still looks super dangerous for black. Like, I mean, he's got massive pressure here on this diagonal, and d pawn is alive. I can see why he went for this. I mean, this looks really, really unpleasant for black here. Could just be totally lost. Honestly, it looks very... very nice for white, like bishop c3, queen g5, and you just run the h-pawn. Like h4, h5, h6. And if black plays h6, we're just taking it. No, it could just be like, could just be technically winning. I kind of like it. I mean, I didn't see tactically what Christopher can do here. So the technical decision to just get a very advantageous position. Oh, but okay, this might change things. Queen takes b3. That might change things. I kind of thought we were going to have... Yeah, I didn't see that move. Kind of thought we would have something. But, yeah, I don't know. Still feels unpleasant. I would still 100% take white here. Maybe we start with bishop b4, but then exactly e3. Come. I don't think we really care about this a pawn too much. Yeah, I don't know. There's lots of moves here for white. There's like queen f5, bishop e3. Yeah, definitely not as good as with the pawn on b3, bishop on c3. That would be awesome, but I still think it's actually quite reasonable for white. I don't know. I mean, I just see like we have a better bishop. Black has his weakness on g7. Okay, queen f5 played. And this d pawn is still very much a strength. Yeah. I like queen f5. I like bishop e3 as well. I thought this kind of makes sense. But this one's tricky. Of course, black cannot do this because there's going to be what we call a checkmate at the end. So yeah, I'm thinking either h6 for black. But then there's going to be possible d7. h6 d7 maybe. And I don't know what's happening. Queen g8. Yeah, it's unclear. Very, very unclear. Oh, I wonder. Levon. So rook h8 played. Levon down to 3 minutes. F takes e4. King g8. Bishop h6 on the board. We had this on our board as well. And yeah, looking very, very bad for black. I just don't see I don't see a good move here. Knight is hanging. This is hanging. Okay, queen d4 check. Now white can go either king h1 or king g2. I don't see an issue with either move, honestly. I would probably go king. Probably go king h1 here. I'm not afraid of no knight f2 check. King h1. We guessed it. Nice. Okay, now the knight is pinned. It's very difficult to deal with. White just wants to go either rook f3 and just win the knight immediately, or give this check, trade this one off, and then just leave black completely defenseless. Okay, bishop e6. Okay, yeah, that feels very reasonable, right? Just covering the back rank. Maybe looking for bishop c4 if needed. So wonder here, still gonna have to be precise to win this. There is rook f6. Rook takes g6 maybe. But rook f6, rook takes h6. It's got to be careful here. Okay, no, we can see Aronia, and he's not going down easy. This is still not easy. Queen g5 absolutely is a move. And then rook f6 would be a very, very serious threat there. King h7. So queen g5, king h7, rook f6. It's brutal. It's feeling brutal. Any update Fabi game? So Fabi game, they've got this endgame. He's got an extra pawn, bishop versus knight, but they're gonna make the time control in 2 moves, and this one is gonna go on for much longer. So we'll come back to this one because there's a few games that are in the time trouble phase right now that are really, really heating up. And this is, I think, the biggest game right now. Yeah. So bishop e6. I wonder, 19 minutes to find the knockout. Queen e7 is also, I think, a very reasonable move. Just hitting the bishop. Threatening rook takes d3, queen takes, queen g7 mates. Of course, it allows rook takes h6, but then we're taking the bishop with a check. And presumably the attack can continue. Also, there's moves like knight e2. But knight e2, queen takes e4 check. That doesn't look good. Don't think we want that. So yeah, queen e7 looks very very unpleasant. Yeah, so queen e7, queen d7. Then I think we're trading everything. Takes, and then we're hitting the bishop at the end. e5, only thing I don't like is it allows bishop d5 check. Just kind of awkward to deal with. You know, takes, queen takes. But queen e7? It's very annoying. It's really, really annoying. And this is what you want to do when your opponent has a lot of weaknesses and you have what we call a queen. The queen is very strong. Actually, I like the analogy by Grandmaster Jan Marcos that he says that the queen is like an exploding firework, right? So if you can explode it inside your opponent's position, it hits stuff in all directions. It's just very, very difficult to deal with. Even like rook f8 becomes a possible threat there. So this move feels very, very tempting. Queen g5 also makes a lot of sense. Just piling up on this one. But then the bishop is awkward. I also like unpinning with tempo. It's very satisfying. It's not over yet. It's not over yet. Queen e7 is not on the board. Maybe I'll open up the live broadcast. Oh, there's Christian. There's Christian. Queen g5 played. Queen g5 played. Dang, why didn't he go queen e7? I honestly don't understand. It looked really good. I mean, if takes, and then if king moves, like rook f7, rook f3. Yeah. Looks good. Looks good. Okay, queen g5, bishop f7 played. I mean, this also looks very strong. If king h7, we were looking at earlier, rook f6, I think is just lights out. I just wasn't seeing any defense here. So bishop f7. And yeah, Levon just down to 3 minutes. 3 minutes, guys. They're on move 25. This is move 25. It's 3 minutes left to make 15 moves. 15 moves to avoid a puzzle rush from the opponent. And he might have an immediate puzzle rush with rook takes f7. I'm not sure. Takes, rook f1, I mean, definitely is tempting. There's knight f2 check, king g2. Yeah, we have 15 minutes, guys. If we're a wonder, we have 15 minutes, so we don't have to just blitz this out and then start calculating. We can calculate first and then play the move. But yeah, maybe there's other options as well. Rook f3 might win without necessary calculation. I'm not sure. Rook f6 also looks like a very nasty move. Okay, he took. You guys are right. You guys are correct. But what's the follow? I'm actually surprised how quickly he took. Rook f1, knight f2, king g2. And that's it. I guess knight f2, he also has queen f4 check, and then rook takes f2. No, he's getting the 2 pieces for the rook. I mean, that's very serious. But yeah, it looked like there was... Oh, okay. Well, hold on. Rook f6, I should note, there is rook takes h6. We saw this in another line. And then this one kind of allows black off the hook a little bit, right? Takes, and checkmate. Allows black off the hook a little bit. So he takes. Oh, rook takes h6 on the board. Oh, Levon. He's fighting back. Because I guess takes here, I mean, looks like this was just unplayable for black. Because you're losing this one, and then white has 2 pieces. The bishop is just so strong. So he takes here. Just gives the exchange back immediately. Now we have to be careful, right? There's still knight f2 check. So... And rook takes h2 is also a threat. If the rook moves, then rook h2, queen f2 could be perpetual check. I mean, I think most likely move here is queen takes rook, because you just kind of remove black's active rook. The attack continues after king takes f7. We have moves there like rook f1 or queen h7. I think queen takes h6 is kind of the first move you kind of consider. And I don't really see what's... It looks good. Takes, king takes f7, queen h7. Yeah, rook df1, definitely another move. That makes sense. Queen h8, wow. Maybe. and counterplay, huh? Counterplay. This knight defending a lot of squares. So yeah, I feel like this is, I don't know, this would be the most tempting move for me at a glance. Because then takes, you have a tempo, you can give queen h7 check. Immediately going after the king, go rook f1 check as well, which looks super strong. But Wonder's thinking, he's got 13 minutes. It's definitely time you can use to calculate here. 14 moves to make until the time control. So definitely feels like this game is going to be decided by move 40. Queen e7, what I don't like is that it doesn't seem to come with like a threat. You know, Because like g7 is covered. I guess maybe no. Even rook takes d3 is not really a threat because you go rook g7 check, king h8, and no real follow up. You know. Queen e7, queen e5 definitely looks like a good idea. Yeah, this is definitely a position where you want to be very precise as white. You don't just want to make like the first move that looks good. So you kind of want to calculate, right? Even if you're just going to play like simple move queen takes h6, then you're going to want to already know ahead of time what you're doing after king takes f7. How about takes queen e7? Yeah, I'm not quite seeing the finish here. Because even this, like if we give white an extra move, check king h8, and there's no actual mate here, right? So from black's point of view, maybe you can play this one, this one. So yeah, we can try queen f6, absolutely. This looks like a better try. Right, threatening mate. I mean, kind of scary, you know? I don't know about you guys, but mate is important. Black has this like desperado try with takes and queen d2. But then white's up a piece, you know, I don't think it's really going to be enough, right? So, yeah. No, definitely this is a very serious idea. I bet a wonder is thinking about it. Because yeah, otherwise I think he would have just taken this one quickly. So he's clearly calculating something, and this might be very strong. Oh, rook d3 on the board. Look at that. Look at that. Oh, and Aronian, he's in pain. This is going to be brutal. Yeah. Well, because rook h7, right. I mean, I should know it's just queen takes check. And then, a very important detail, by the way, but rook is lost. So I wonder, of course, has calculated all this out thoroughly. Yeah, very good, chat. Very good. You guys just defeated Aronian. It is 27:55. Yeah, queen f6 is nice because, well, everything is covered. So there's actually no checks. Except for rook takes h2, but this one I don't think is gonna cut it because white can just go queen f2. I mean, black doesn't even have a pawn for the piece, so it's really nothing. So rook takes d3, and yeah, the fact that Levon is thinking here is not a good sign for him. So great game by Wonder. Okay, queen takes d3 played. And queen f6 instantly on the board. It's looking great, guys. I was looking for a defense here. I didn't see one. I didn't see one. This looks like GG. Because this is what we call a checkmate. And then the king is what we call has no moves. Okay, rook takes h2 played. King takes h2. Now he can avoid getting mated. Yeah, with queen d2 check, exactly. And tragically, there are some games at lower levels that finish in perpetual checks here, like queen e3, and then both sides just repeat moves, and then the game ends in a draw, and they're like, oh, what happened? But I don't think we're going to see that. I think we're going to just see a simple block. Yeah, exactly. Toast, no avocado, no salt even, no lemon, no arugula, no radish, just toast. No butter even. No butter. Hard, scratchy toast with no butter here for black. Okay, king g1. So I guess he's just going to get out of the checks here. So queen e1 could be played. He can advance. Queen d2. And then maybe go queen f2 there. Well, yeah, I mean, arugula and radish, that's why you need like some lemon, some avocado. You gotta cut the bitterness. Pickle. Why would you put... No, I don't know. Yeah, no pickle. No pickle. So Wonder scoring a big win. Queen c1 played. That's kind of annoying because that's like, all right, you really want to give this pawn with check, huh? That's a little bit annoying. I think it's still completely winning for white. Maybe just king f2 now. Takes, knight e2. Invite black to trade queens. Yeah, I don't quite get this king g1 move, to be honest. Why not just queen f2? If queen h6 check, okay, king moves and up a piece, you know? Thank you, Witchpot. Thank you. Have any games finished yet? Yeah, Dominguez Hans draw. Wow, Levon didn't take. He just goes queen h6. Yeah, he's being a little feisty here. So king f2, queen h6 on the board. And now g5 played. Wow. So he's inviting the queen in, but eventually the checks will run out. I hope, for a wonder's sake. Yeah, not sure. Not sure, Arthur. I would think that white has many ways to win. Oh, he just resigned. He just resigned after g5, and he's saying something. Yeah, I didn't play well. Yeah. GG. Congrats to a wonder. Tough game for Levon. I mean, I think he was just maybe caught a little bit in the opening, and a wonder played a fantastic attacking game. Yeah, really well played by a wonder. I am surprised he resigned and didn't at least give a couple of checks, but I guess he realized that it's essentially futile here. Oh, right. Also, the rook doesn't enter. So the king can just walk over to the d file. Yeah. It would be a different story if the rook could, enter rook d8. Then there would be at least a little bit more to calculate. Even there, I think the checks kind of run out quickly. This knight on c3 is excellent. Very nice to bring the king closer to the knight. But here also, white's queen is just covering this square. So, game over. Very nice win by Wonder. I mean, one of the best games of the tournament, honestly. Like, and actually G4 very strong. Like, we didn't consider this at all, but Super strong move. Super strong. Yeah. Yeah, look at that. Boom, boom. Back-to-back exchange sacks. You don't see that too often, back-to-back, especially when they're not captured. Actually, this was 3 in a row. This was 3 exchange sacrifices in a row. Did anyone catch this? This is 1, 2, all exchange sacks. 3. And now Levon lost because he wasn't able to capture another minor piece with one of his rooks. So a wonder had seen further that he's doing the third, yeah, the second capture for him, but the third in the series. Amazing. Amazing. Yeah, then he sacrificed the rook for, this was the best he could do, but of course it's not as good as the exchange sack. Yeah. So big GG there to a wonder. Let's check in with our other games here. Let's see what's happening. This game actually very, very sharp, heating up. This is Zhang versus Lenderman. They're on move 38, so Black is about to make their 38th move. So they're almost done with the time trouble, but they still have a couple moves to make. And it feels very critical because, honestly, either side could lose this in like 2 seconds. Like, White has 2 connected monsters on the queen side, and Black has a super strong e-pawn and the threat of bishop e4 in the position. So I think Jeffrey has to be very precise. After king h7 here, which I'm not sure why why there's a delay here. I mean, you can go queen f4. Okay, queen f4 played. But looks like Black can at least bail out with queen takes c5. Yeah, so this feels like, I mean, White had to allow this, because if here, this just looks dangerous. Queen b7, e2, just game over. So queen f4, allowing Black to bail out with queen takes c5, where White was probably going to take, and then this endgame, I'm not totally sure, because White has the outside passed pawn, but I would think that Black has very, very good drawing chances here, because White's king is open, and there's always going to be lots of checks available to Black for counterplay. So I would think this is very drawish. So we'll see if Lenderman goes for that, or if he comes up with a better idea. You can try e3, but then I think takes, c6. You can win White's bishop, but it's not going to be enough. Or here, for example. No, here actually Black's bishop gets back in time. So yeah, c6 and then c7. And then White's king comes around. Okay, so Lenderman here 4 minutes to make this decision. Fabi against Wesley. Fabi kept his extra pawn. But it's definitely not easy to win this, because I think Wesley has a nice kind of fortress idea here. He can put the knight on e5 and then make it very hard for White to get the king in. Maybe the pawn goes to g4. Still, it's an extra pawn, so some chances here for Fabi, yeah? Some chances for sure. Folks, I'll be signing off soon, as the scrubs are going to be taking over. But yeah, I think they're going to continue watching the games live. So you'll get to see some commentary from, you know, some average Joes, some players closer to the level of the audience, which is going to be fun. I hope you guys enjoy. No, I bet it will be a blast. And there, it looks like there's going to be some endgames. Oh, wow, Shanklin, by the way. Hold on, something's going on here. This is move 41. Bishop e5. Rook takes e5. He just sacked an exchange. He must have seen the Wonder game and he's like, oh, I know what I need to do now. Rook takes e5, allowing rook takes g4 with check. And then, of course, black is going to be able to take this rook. But, what is happening here? Did he calculate this to a win, or what's going on? b7. I mean, he certainly didn't have to take here, it seems. So takes. I mean, his idea was that on takes d6, black's rook is not stopping the pawn in time. So rook c8. He doesn't go here, rook d8. He goes bishop a5 and then d7 next, right? So that was white's idea. And in this line, he's winning very clearly. But Elshon takes this pawn first with check. And now Sam has to figure out like where to put the king exactly to make sure that the rook isn't able to stop the pawn. The interesting thing is like black's king is also not. So this is one of the very key points of his calculation, is that the king is not able to stop the pawn itself. Did Sam blitz out that exchange sec? Honestly, I would be very surprised if he blitzed it out. I can actually look up the exact time he spent. And it looks like he spent 4 minutes on it. So he definitely didn't blitz it out. But 4 minutes, honestly, not that much time. I honestly thought he would spend longer if it's a winning combination. Yeah, but now check, and so this one, for example, I think does not work because then black takes. Sorry, rook check, king moves, takes, push, and then here, and then rook comes back to d1 and stops the pawn. So this wouldn't be working, but he also has king f3 or king f2. Okay, king f3 played. And I think black has to give the check, otherwise he's just down a piece. So I would expect rook f4 check here. And then it's going to have to find another square for the king. Either king e3 or king e2. And yeah, could just be winning. Like, if black doesn't have a way to stop this pawn, just straight up winning. And if so, this is very, very nicely calculated by Sam. Also, the fact that I only spent like 4 minutes on it. I mean, because they just made the time control. Like, this is move 41. And so he has at least 30 minutes here. So yeah, the king's not stopping the pawn there. So, oh, rook takes b4 played, by the way. So we'll see about the pawn in game. So check, let's say here, take, push. King is not stopping nothing. Nothing. So here takes, let's see. So I'm not sure, maybe he throws in check, but let's take a look. So takes. Is this so obviously winning? d6, king moves. Yeah, if it's winning, it's like tempo by tempo. It's very, very close. Let's see, king e4. Let's say g4. I don't know, it doesn't look so close. King e5, or I mean, doesn't look so obvious. g3. G7 here. I think white might be losing here, right? Not that this line is forced, just this line that we're playing out. So if f6, then we're taking, and then of course g pawn is unstoppable. So we'll see. Takes, DE5. And, okay, push. Oh, we have all this. King E4, G4, King D5. Push. D7. Wow. So Sam, I guess, has calculated that he's faster here. So this one. G2, I think, then check is the point. Can't take because then white promotes with check and stops your pawn. And if you go here, then f7, white's promoting with mate. So he's just like one tempo faster here. So G2. So both sides are going to get a queen. And queen endgame looks very promising because this f pawn looks really like white has the jump. So he's going to be able to like win this pawn. Then f pawn looks strong, but still a long way to go. This doesn't look over at all. Still going to have to be very precise here. But yeah, I mean, I'm still kind of shocked. Like Shanklin went for this after 4 minutes. Like, I mean, to calculate the pawn end game, I think is not trivial. Like all this, like wow. Okay, but now he's stopping here. Because he has some options. He has queen d7 check, queen c7. Can also think about taking the b pawn. He has Devanchik on stream about technical endgame tips, and he said something like, "Okay, you simply must calculate everything." Can imagine. Okay. Well, sometimes you must play best move, and every time in endgame you must play best move. Oh, best move. Okay, so exciting queen endgame here. We'll see if Sam can pull it out. Christopher, you? Up a pawn? But I think now Sevian's holding this. So somehow the queens came off. We had this crazy position. E3 was played. Wow. And then he traded queens and took the pawn. Because I guess if bishop takes e3, then queen d1. And queen takes d6 with check. I don't know why I'm drawing all this. If it was white to play, queen c8 would still win. But this is check, and so black has time to defend the back rank. So bishop f4, or even this, for example. And I mean, I don't know. This still seems playable, but yeah, maybe black is holding here. So now it looks like they went for this endgame, but I mean, some chances for white still here even, actually, for sure. because white has one extra pawn officially, but unofficially 2 extra pawns, because 2 of black's pawns are doubled and effectively count as 1. So white has 1 extra pawn, and he also has an extra pawn on the king side. So he kind of has 2 extra pawns. And you could see white winning this. I mean, king e3, g4, f4, f5, like, he has enough material that this could still be very unpleasant for black. I don't know exactly, he's going to go g6, h5. My guess is that it's probably good drawing chances as well, but definitely some, reasonable drawing chances for Christopher. Okay, Shanklin's still thinking. And yeah, I mean, he didn't seem to spend a lot of time on the previous move. He spent, they made the time control, and then rook takes e5 was his first move in the new time control. So he had plenty of time, and then he... But then on king f3, he spent like 5 minutes there. So he spent a few more minutes on the next one. Okay, let's see. Robson. Looks like they got this rook endgame on the board. Up a pawn for Robson, but... not sure... Not sure how much of a winning chance he has. Like, he would love to bring the king in, but black is always going to have counterplay with rook b2, kind of tagging this pawn. So it's going to be kind of hard. Okay, so that's what's currently going on. Sam played queen c7 check. And, oh, he might be looking for some kind of devious king e6 idea. Imagine king goes back, then king e6. And black doesn't have a lot of checks. He's got 1 check. But that doesn't look super promising. Of course he can take this one even. Maybe king d6. Well, actually, this is really not that easy. Like this, for example, might just lose, right? Because outside pass pawn. This is what we call outside pass pawn. King here, then king here. And white's pawn not going nowhere. So here... Okay, I don't know if it's losing exactly, but it looks dangerous. Actually, maybe white's better here. Hold on. Hold on. Is white winning? White's winning. Okay. So this endgame, actually, white wins. That's crazy. Active king. Active king. Okay. So that kind of shows some of the complexity here. Okay, folks, I'll be signing off soon. Let's quickly take a look at the U.S. Women's Championship. I just want to see what's happening there. Log in here. And here we go. Let's cut to this scene. Okay, what's going on here? So Irina beat Begim. Ashritha beat Zatonsky. How's Sophie doing? Sophie. Okay, crazy position against Alice. Might be in some trouble there. This black is a very strong D pawn. Sabina, Jennifer. Looks like extra pawn for black here, but white has some compensation. Talia exchange up against Nazi, but Nazi has a strong bishop, a lot of pawns, a couple pawns for the exchange. So I think reasonable drawing chances there as well. See, in this game between Ru Yang and Rochelle, it just looks absolutely crazy. Look at this position. What a wild position. It's like everything is happening on the queen. The queen side looks like a typical like king side, but just like all the pawns advance. Crazy. I don't think I've ever seen anything like that in a game. That's wild. Oh, there's queen g3. Oops, my bad. Yeah, I know you guys are talking about. Yeah, there's queen g3 there. Okay, so white definitely can't take the pawn. But then maybe, yeah, just king d6 in that position. And I don't know, feels nice for white. I don't know if it's like super easy, but it feels like white has good winning chances there. All right, cool. Updates. Okay, Shanklin did go for king e6. Oh, but Elshan put his king on g8, so he didn't go king f8, he went king g8. Now king e6, h6. Elshan, by the way, down to 40 seconds. Maybe he has more time coming, though. I'm not sure, actually. Hard to say. h6 played. Now white can definitely take this pawn on e5. I mean, that looks very tempting. And then he's just so active. He can try to take on b5 as well. He's got the f pawn that's strong. Yeah, it's looking very unpleasant for black. All right, folks. Looks like scrubs are ready. So stay tuned. Dojo Scrubs taking over the commentary. We'll be right back. And yeah, they'll finish up watching, I think, some of these end games. So stay tuned, guys. Scrubs are a lot of fun. Might have to refresh your pages in just a sec. But otherwise, I will see you all next time. We'll probably be back with more streams Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and so on. Folks, follow the channel. If you haven't already, follow the channel to get all the notifications when we go live. We'll be covering this tournament every round. And join the Discord as well. Lots of great chess chatter going on in the Discord. So make sure to check that out. Alrighty, see y'all later. Take care.